What's up and welcome back to 31 Nights of Horror. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be talking about one specific movie, but we're actually going to be talking about Final Girls. And I'm really excited to be filming this because the time that I'm filming this, it's like early October. I'm filming this super late at night because I procrastinated filming this earlier in the day. But you know what? It's better that I'm filming it at night because it's matching the vibes a little bit more. Also, my purple lights today are kind of acting up, so we're not going to be in the full purple lighting. Only one of my purple lights is working, the other ones aren't, so that's why the lighting looks a little bit different today. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Final Girls, specifically Final Girls from the 70s, and I kind of thought about this. I was going to make this video just be an entire video of Final Girls, like me ranking all of them, but I'm going to go decade by decade just like I'm doing in these videos, in these weeks. So today we're going to be talking about the 70s Final Girls that I've done, and actually, speaking of Final Girls in general, I have two potential video ideas for the last day of October, or what we know as Halloween. And let me know which one you guys want more. I'm probably going to put a poll up in my community tab, so you guys can also let me know there. But my two options are talking about my 31 favorite horror movies or ranking my 31 favorite Final Girls. So those are two video ideas that I have. I thought the Final Girls one would be in theme since I'm doing week by week Final Girl rankings and stuff. I think it could also be fun for you guys to hear my 31 favorite horror movies because I haven't really done a horror movie favorites video since like the beginning of my channel, so since forever. But anyway, I'm going to tell you guys the list of the Final Girls we're going to talk about. It's not too many because the thing is, I haven't seen too many 70s movies that have Final Girls, so let's go through them. So we're going to be talking about Black Christmas, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Carrie, Suspiria, and Alien. So the Final Girls from those respected movies. So let me know down below what's your favorite Final Girl from the 70s. And the 70s is really when the Final Girl trope started essentially. We had Final Girls before then. You could even say that Psycho was one of the earlier moments where there was a Final Girl if you think about it. So Final Girls have been happening in horror for a long time, but the 70s is really when it became a trend, a trope, and a lot of these Final Girls really set the bar for what they should be in the future. But what I really like about my favorites, especially from this decade, is that they kind of subvert expectations. You would think one thing of them, but they're actually another form, because the tropes of Final Girls are essentially, or at least how they were, because today we have different understandings of what makes a Final Girl, because back then, although it obviously means that they survived the movie, there were a lot of other underlying themes, like they never have sex, they're very innocent, they're like the purest people in the movie, and then when they surround themselves with other people who are not as quote-unquote innocent as they are, they're the ones that get killed, they're the ones that get slashed, and that was a trope for a very long time. It still happens today, but later on we got movies that started kind of playing on that trope, fixing it, and just doing a lot of different things with it. But yeah, that's kind of the beginnings of the Final Girl. It came from the 70s, and we're just gonna get downright to it. So my least favorite from this decade of the movies that I've seen is the Final Girl from Carrie, which is Sue Snell. I honestly didn't even remember that she was a Final Girl. Like, obviously I just rewatched the movie, did the review, but when I was looking up Final Girls from the 70s and such, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, she survived. I feel like Sue is just a character that's kind of boring to me, you know, and I do understand kind of why she survived, because she's kind of like the good character in this story if you think about it. Like, she's the one who hates on her the least and tries to help her in a way. But what I think, I guess, is interesting about her character, and just in the movie Carrie in general, that even the characters who are doing something good for Carrie, they're doing it more to satisfy themselves. And that's kind of what I thought Sue was doing in this movie. Like, yeah, she wanted Tommy to go to the dance with her, but in a way it was kind of to relieve herself of her own guilt of laughing and not helping her at the beginning of the movie in the locker scene. And honestly, she survived, but like, I think she sort of could have died with them, just because I mentioned in my Carrie review, I don't really like the ending of the movie, and I think it would have been better if she also would have died. So not really a huge fan of her. I feel like her character is just alright, like it's not what I remember from the movie, if that makes sense. Now the next character that I would put here, I'm honestly gonna say, I'm sorry if this is kind of controversial, but I'm gonna go with Laurie Strode. Now, I think to this day, Laurie Strode is actually a pretty great character. She's gone through a lot of character development, a lot of character depths in quite a lot of different Halloween franchises. I think if you've seen the franchise, you know what I mean, since it changes all the time. And, you know, if I were ranking this based on like her right now, she'd probably be a lot higher. But I think in the original Halloween Laurie is kind of overrated in my opinion because I think her character is so average. She's very much the character that I was describing in the beginning. Like, she is kind of like the model final girl in my opinion. She doesn't go out. She's like the one who studies and is really smart. Her friends are the complete opposite of her, as that's how they show them. They, like, just in the way they spend their Halloween nights is completely different, and it shows a lot of character there. But I think it's just boring. Like, she's just a very boring character, and she almost plays like this trope too much in the movie, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like the movie is trying so hard to make us believe that, yeah, she is such a nice girl who doesn't deserve this to happen to. Sometimes that's something that I think slashers tend to do with the whole final girl horror movie type of thing, because I think Halloween kind of does that sometimes, where, you know, you want to feel bad for Laurie because she doesn't do anything wrong by the movie standards, so that's why when things are happening to her, the movie's like, oh my god, you should be feeling something. But honestly, when I watch this movie, I don't really feel anything for her because I feel like I don't really get to know the character, and it's just playing over this trope that's like so repetitive throughout the entire movie. And then it kind of makes like the other characters feel stupid, if that makes sense. Like, they make them feel stupid when stuff is happening, and it kind of just like dumbs them down just because of the things they're interested in. And I'm not a really big fan of those stereotypes in this movie, and Halloween is obviously not the only one to do it. But yeah, Laurie, in my opinion, is kind of an overrated final girl. I think she's really great now, and she's really great in a lot of other movies, but I think in the first Halloween, there's definitely better final girls from the 70s. My fourth place is going to go to Susie from Suspiria. And although Suspiria was definitely an interesting watch, I think the final girl in this movie really made it worthwhile. I think a lot of it was because I liked how she took force in investigating a lot. I really appreciated that from this movie because the movie was so confusing. There was like so many things that I didn't understand, so many just weird things happening, and you have this character who they just put in this really uncomfortable situation where we don't know what's happening. She's put into a situation that has already been happening, these bad events, this bad chain of events and these murders, and I really like that she just takes a step forward to go investigate and like kind of figure this out herself. She comes to this school in the middle of a rainy night, and she basically witnesses a girl's last moments alive, and from that moment straight on, she realizes there's a lot of weird things happening, but she's also trying to stay in the normal. And I really liked her character. I think she made it really entertaining, and in the moments where I think the movie dragged on, I was interested to find out the situation, not just for my sake, but also for the character's sake. And after this, we're going to third place, and I'm gonna go with Sally from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, Sally has barely any character, like at all. And Sally, although is one of the earlier examples of a final girl in a horror movie, it's funny because she, you know, she is in a relationship. She is in a relationship. She's not like the super innocent type of person that you would think she was, and she survives. So cool points for her. Like, I really like when just movies do that in general. But the reason I'm putting her up there is because the girl really tried it all to survive. I think out of this list, out of these final girls that I'm talking about, she's the one who really was like, I'm gonna get out of here alive. She doesn't have much character. I can't really tell you much about her other than screaming a lot, because she does that a lot at the end of the movie. But girl throws herself out of a window, goes up the stairs extremely fast, throws herself off a window again. Like, she's just going crazy to try to survive. And the movie actually spends a lot of time with her being the only one alive, which I really like about this story, because everybody else gets killed on pretty easily, so then you're just spent with the last like 40 minutes with her alive. And I like the way they used her character, because you could tell that she was just trying it all. A lot of times I'm really frustrated at final girls because I think they're sometimes very stupid. Like, they do things that I'm like, dude, you could have just survived that maybe a little bit easier. And I think Sally proves that, like, you just have to put in the effort to survive. And I love Sally for that. Like, I don't have too many details to say with her, but she's one of the final girls who really wanted to survive, and I'm just really happy that she got that. The one that's gonna come into second place is Jess from Black Christmas. And to be honest, when I was making this list, I realized how I really need to rewatch Black Christmas again, because I haven't seen it since my first watch, and although I really enjoyed it that first time, it's a movie that I think needs a rewatch for me, just because I don't remember certain details and stuff from the story. But I think Black Christmas is a great movie if you guys haven't seen it. But the reason I really like Jess is because she is like the innocent girl in the story, but there's interesting elements to her. For example, the entire movie she has this decision to make about an abortion, an unplanned pregnancy, despite her boyfriend who doesn't want her to have the abortion. So she's facing these things that a lot of other final girls never talk about these topics that are so serious and so important to have. And she has these troubles alongside obviously what's happening in the movie itself, and I think she's a great final girl. Like, I just really wanted her to survive. I didn't think she was stupid. I didn't think she was stupid. She just felt like a pretty realistic character from what I remember. But my favorite final girl from the 70s, I guess if you guys have been keeping track of the final girls, you maybe can tell me which one that is, but it's gonna be Ellen Ripley from Alien. I love her, and the reason why I love her is because I feel like in a way she is one of the first sci-fi type of movies where a woman survives. I haven't seen too many early sci-fi movies in the type of nature like Alien where it's kind of like everybody's dying type of thing, but I feel like she's one of the examples where she is such a strong woman and she like demands the room. She's strong and the most intelligent person there, and there's a lot of really great attributes that she has. She's played wonderfully in this story. Like, the acting also helps so much and deliver this character who we grow to love, but also she has a pretty great character arc in the movie as well. I feel like especially when it came out, people might not have thought that she would be the survivor because of what I said. I feel like sci-fi and this type of movie, you would think a man would survive, but she kind of flipped the gender norms in that way, and I really love her for that. But also she just kicks ass in this movie. Like, she's another character like Sally where these are some final girls that they really wanted to make it out of here, and they did alive. And I think, you know, Ellen Ripley is like Sally in that way, but is way better because we got so much development and layers with her, and we spent a lot more time with her, a lot more time with her thoughts, her thinking process, and it's just fascinating. I really, really love her in this movie, and she's one of my favorite final girls, obviously from the 70s like I'm mentioning, but just in general, and one of my favorite characters in general as well. I really, really love this character and this movie. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about some final girls from the 70s and giving you guys my list of my favorites from the decade. But yeah, I can't believe we've made it through a full week of talking about movies, horror movies, 70s movies, and 31 Nights of Horror. Starting tomorrow, I believe, by the time I'm posting this video, we're starting talking about the 80s, which is a whole other aspect of horror that is pretty different from the 70s, and I've really noticed that in this binge of 70s horror that I've been having. I'm excited for you guys to tune in with those videos, and yeah, I hope you all have a very spooky rest of your night, and hopefully by the next time I film a 31 Nights of Horror video, my purple lights are working again, because I feel like the purple just brings the vibes. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye everyone!